Saints head coach Darren Rizzi talks loss to Rams and finishing games. Ladies and gentlemen, today is the day after the day before. Last night / evening, the Saints fall to the Los Angeles Rams. A last ditch drive at the end there completely fell in a whimper. Not good. Not a fun way to spend a Sunday night. So we're going to hear Darren Rizzi for the first time talk about a loss. So Dennis Allen had tons of experience in this, where he would take the podium and talk to all of us after a demoralizing loss. And what would we hear? Execution, got to execute better, got to do this better. So I'm interested to see what route Rizzi takes in talking about a loss. So let's go ahead and listen and react. The video presented by New Orleans Football, unmatched cinematic quality on these interviews.
I'll start off by saying, as I just told the team, extremely proud of the effort right up to the very end. There was no doubt in my mind and on the sideline, the coach's mind, that we were going to go down there and win the football game. So obviously disappointing. Really my biggest takeaway probably from this game is just, we didn't do what we did in our last, especially in the last game. We didn't finish drives. We didn't finish out the game. We didn't finish the second half very well, and that's the things we've been doing the last couple of games. And so, again, you're gonna be in football games, and these one-score games against good football teams at home. You got to be able to finish off.
True, big true. Did not finish drives. We talked about it yesterday in the recap, but a lot of drives ended with too many field goal opportunities or field goals and not enough touchdowns. It certainly didn't finish the game, and certainly didn't finish the second half when we got boat raced in the second half after having a lead at halftime. So yeah, I 100% agree with that assessment that we didn't finish much of anything. If we were at dinner, we'd have to-go plates. Plate unfinished, not good.
And so that's something we didn't do very well today. We did a lot of things in the game that we set out to do and play the game in a lot of ways that we wanted to, but we didn't execute in crunch time. We didn't finish drives very well, like I said, and then really to start the second half, they kind of set the tempo with their offense. So obviously disappointing. Again, I'm very, very proud of the way we are fighting and competing.
Sean McVay, man, some of these coaches, it's just crazy how they'll do this. But on the first drive in the second half, McVay ran the ball 9 out of 11 plays. He's just one of those guys. A lot of coaches are like that, but when they have an idea, they have a scheme, they have an adjustment. That was obviously the adjustment. The adjustment obviously was, well, I got a sneaky feeling they can't stop the run. So let's just straight up run the ball 90% of the time and see what happens. And once that happened, when a team does that, it's one thing to not stop the run, and we certainly did not stop the run. But what you can't do is what the Saints did, which is stall out. If a team is running the ball down your throat, the last thing you can do is go 3 and out or, five play punt, things like that. Because then they have all the momentum. They are dictating the entire game. They are dictating everything about the game. They are more than happy to say, damn, we just ran the ball 9 out of 11 times and scored. They just punted. Let's just do it again. All of a sudden, that's how you have a third quarter where you run a handful of plays. Similar to the first quarter where we dominated, they ran 3 plays. But what's the difference? The difference was we didn't finish. So even though we completely dominated the first half, completely dominated the time of possession, dictated the game, it really doesn't matter if it's still a one-possession game. It doesn't matter if it's 6-0. If it's 14-0, yeah, all of a sudden it matters because then they cannot come back and run the ball 90% of the time. Even if it's working. When you're down 2 scores, or you're chasing or whatever, you can't do that. You're forced to throw. And once we let the game slip, we never had a response. So yes, it was about finishing, but we never really started. You could argue that finishing was bad, sure, but starting was just as bad. We just didn't have. And I mentioned this yesterday, but it just felt like everything was pulling teeth. It just felt like every yard, every first down was just so difficult. You're doing everything you can just to get first downs, and then you stall out in the red zone, or you stall out, kick a field goal, or you miss a field goal, or whatnot, and it just seems to be kind of the story with this team. That's the personality of this team. The personality of this team is we're going to kind of struggle. Everything's going to come hard. Pause. We're going to kind of keep us in it. And then at the end, we'll have a flash of hope, but it'll be sniffed out really, really quick. And that's just kind of how this season and last season has gone.
And that was the case right up to the very, very end. So we were in that game, like I said, right up to the end. We got a chance to win there. We had a guy open in the end zone, and we can't get the ball off. And so, unfortunate. But, hey, we're going to rebound and regroup. We still got 5 games left. Our division's still very much in play. I'm not a real big picture guy, but, we're still got a very legitimate chance at the division. So we're going to keep fighting our butts off. So with that, I'll take some questions.
Derek, can you kind of just go into when you were weighing the final couple minutes of the game, the clock management, how you decided?
Yeah, we were going down there to win the football game.
I didn't have a problem with draining the clock. So he's talking about like letting the 2-minute. Yeah, I had no problem with that. You don't want to. I mean, obviously you want to score, but in that situation, you definitely want to drain as much clock as possible. Try and win the game, like he's saying. Score, go for 2, try and win it right there. And the only way you can do that is if you leave if you don't leave too much time on the clock. If you leave too much time on the clock, then you can't really do that. So I had no problem with taking the clock down to the 2-minute warning.
I felt like we were reeling on defense, and if we score, we were going to go for 2 and go for the win. So I didn't want them to get the ball back with time left on the clock. So
no problem.
I thought the way we played it out was exactly where we wanted to play it out.
Yeah.
Do you have any update on how Taysom Hill's doing or the Skrmetta?
Yeah, not yet. They're doing it. Yeah, obviously he just got injured now, so hopefully we're going to get some more information. So hopefully it's not too bad, but no real information yet.
Are there any indications how severe it is? I know you said just like the reaction from everyone around him.
Well, listen,
it was.
Yeah, it's I'm by no means a medical person, so I've heard. I'm not going to go down that road because I've heard bad things before and it's good, and I've heard good things before and it's bad. So we'll just let the medical thing play out. Sal, the very same thing. Just waiting on. They're going to get those guys over for imaging and all that stuff, and see what the deal is.
Darren, what would you say was the biggest problem on defense? It started with not being able
stopping the run. I mean, pretty easy diagnosis here. Probably the 7 yards per rush we were giving up to Kyren Williams. And what's really crazy about this, it's such an interesting Sudoku puzzle of a game. Because on one hand, yes, Kyren Williams absolutely dominated us. He had, again, 7 yards of carry. But on the other hand, he only ran the ball 15 times. Now, Blake Corum got carries, and Puka Nacua got a carry in there. So there is a little bit of that supplement, like kind of a supplemental running attack. But it's not like Kyren Williams had 30 carries. He went under his rushing attempts prop. Like, I know not everybody is privy to that, but his betting rushing attempts was 18.5. So think about this. Puka goes under his receptions and receiving yards. Cooper Kupp goes under his receptions and receiving yards. Matt Stafford goes under his yards. Kyren Williams goes under his rush attempts. And Alvin Kamara has 23 carries for 115 yards and 5 yards per carry. If you told me all of that, I would have said, damn, I guess we rolled. Like, I guess we did pretty well. So it's just the game felt like a fever dream or something. It's just such a wacky way for a game to go. It's such a wacky way for a game to go, kind of play out where no one really did anything except the running backs. But even the running backs did relatively the same. I mean, it's just a wild thing. But defensively, that was the big problem. I mean, we absolutely were fine as far as defending the pass and defending Nacua and Kupp and keeping everything relatively. You're not gonna pitch a full shutout where neither one of them has catches. But if you look at the box score and you say, hey, this is what Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp did, I think we'd all be like, yeah, okay, I'll take that.
to stop the run, I guess?
Yeah, listen, obviously they had 0 points at the half. I think they had 15 yards passing. We were playing the game the way we set out to win the game. We kind of had a way that we wanted to play this football game and felt like we could win this football game. And I thought defensively we were going on script in the first half. I thought second half, they came out, and if I'm not mistaken, they had their first 2 drives. And then they had an explosive play, which is always a great equalizer. We'd kind of done a great job of not giving those up in the first half. They get a couple explosive plays, and then we had a tough time stopping a run in the second half. So, again, just not consistent enough. I was really, really pleased at halftime with the defensive effort, but at that point we only had 6 points. So we kind of stalled on a couple drives. We missed a field goal. We could have been up 2 scores. We were only up 1. And so, I felt like we had played the first half like we wanted to play it, but we only had 6 points to show for it. And that obviously caught up to us.
How about your guys' run game? How did you feel like that did?
Yeah, I mean, listen,
pretty good.
I felt like there was bits and pieces of our run game that was good. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, we were over 4.5 yards a carry.
Yeah, I think it was right at 5 for Alvin. And I mean, pretty good. Like Taysom really didn't get going through the. I think he only had like 5 carries for 10 yards, so he wasn't really a factor. But yeah, Kamara was good, but it's the same old thing where it's like, yes, it's good that you can matriculate down, and it's good that you can run the football, but at some point you have to have explosive plays. At some point you have to score. At some point you have to do those things. So we just didn't do enough of those things. I mean, I would have to go look at the next gen analytics or someone in the comments, but like I would assume Derek Carr's average depth of target was really bad. I just felt like everything was, and this kind of happens with this style of offense where everything can be very short to horizontal. Everything can be like just kind of not dumping the ball off, but it can be just short routes, quick routes, nothing there. And those drives can be very frustrating where like you run the ball on first down for 3-4 yards. Okay, cool. 2nd and 6, 2nd and 7. You throw, a short pass, gets 3 yards. All of a sudden it's 3rd and 5, incompletion, punt. And then you're looking around like, well, we ran the ball well. We did complete a pass. Like why is it to where we're trying to move the ball 4 yards at a time? Like I know the math of, 4 times, if you do that 4 times 3, it's 12 yards, first down. Yeah, but it's also 1 incompletion or 1, stuff or 1 penalty or 1 whatever from you're forced to convert like 6 to 8 third downs a drive, basically. And the first drive of the game, and maybe even the second drive, we were converting those 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 6s with like the short 5-yard, 6-yard passes. But at a certain point, like that just catches up to you. You have to score. You have to be able to push the ball. You have to be able to have explosive plays. And I know in the stands we were saying like, look, just start taking shots. Like even if it's just to make the defense respect that you are willing to do it, take a couple shots. Like do a play action, throw it deep, something, because a lot of it was just so not conservative or safe. Like those are the wrong words, but it was just it was way too much of that like short to intermediate offense
on the day. And so, like I said, we were playing out the game. The disappointing thing for me was we put ourselves into some 3rd and manageables and didn't convert those. And so
exactly what I just said, Darren.
I think we were 5 of 14, and on 3rd down, that's been an issue for us, not being able to convert 3rd downs in the second half, and that's reared its ugly head again now for a few weeks in a row.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. Where like you put yourself in a 3rd and 5, it's okay. That is absolutely 3rd and manageable. That is absolutely attainable. But then you think about it and you're like, well, with our injuries to Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, whatever, you're asking whatever the combination of MVS, Cedric Wilson, Jawan Johnson, Foster Moreau, like you're asking them to make 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6 contested catches to convert those first downs. And you got to be like, it's one thing if we have Devontae Adams, or it's one thing if we even have Chris Olave, or one thing if you have a Michael Thomas type player where that's kind of their specialty, but we just don't really have that. So I think that's why we're seeing us go, whatever he said, 5 for 18 on 3rd down, is because we are putting ourselves in a 3rd manageable. We are putting ourselves in an okay situation. 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. That's fine. But we don't have the horses. We don't have the Brock Bauer. We don't have the Travis Kelce. We don't have, like I said, the Devontae Adams or players like that to go to and feed in those situations. So at a certain point, we're I mean, we're the season's almost over, but I think it's okay to accept that we just don't really have the roster to get to where we want to be right now. If you look at San Francisco, if we had a George Kittle or a Deebo Samuel or a Brandon Ayuk, all of a sudden those 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 6s become much easier. Just like the Rams. 3rd and 5 for the Rams is much different than 3rd and 5 for the Saints. They have Puka Nacua, they have Cooper Kupp. We don't have those players. So, moving forward, that is certainly an area that we need to improve on. It's certainly an area we need to improve on is make sure, okay, if we're going to run this offense and if we're going to do this and if we're going to, and again, injuries are what they are, but if we're going to play like this, you have to have the roster to convert these 3rd and 5 and 3rd and 6s. It's not good enough to just put us in those situations if you can't convert them.
We've got to remedy that problem. That's part of the finish that I'm talking about.
Darren, you said you had a receiver open and couldn't get the ball out. It seemed like Derek had some time and was waiting for something to develop. Did you think there was an opportunity to get the pass?
Well, all I know is we had a guy open. I don't know exactly how the route played out, his first and second read, but that's the first thing Derek said to me when he came off the field is, I know I had a guy open there. We were half a second too late. Gets the ball out a half second.
I have to all 22 that play. In real time, I was surprised that Derek double pumped. I mean, it's 4th and 2. You're on the goal line, basically. 4th and 2 in the red zone. That's got to be the quickest route possible. So when I saw him double pump, and he absolutely did have time. Absolutely did have time. I mean, like he pumped twice. Cost you $20 down on Bourbon Street. So the fact that he could do that, I was surprised that the route or the play call or whatever was taking so long. And then just the worst thing in the world is when you don't convert and you don't get the playoff, when you don't even give anyone a chance, when it's a sack or a fumble or a, whatever end you want to call what that was. But yeah, 4th and 2, you hate to see that. So again, I'll have to all 22 that and see exactly what was going on. But I was surprised that we had so much time in the pocket and nothing happened.
Earlier, might be having a different press conference right now. So,
what is your thought on his game in that situation? Timing, feel in the pocket.
Well, listen, I'm pleased with the way Derek's been playing. There's really no. I think are there a couple plays he'd love to have back. We didn't have any sacks today. I thought he got rid of the ball when he was supposed to. We weren't quite as good as our completion percentage wasn't quite as good today. I think they had a little pressure on us on some of those.
Yeah, I would say overall probably a C- for Derek. C-, D+, somewhere in there. Just kind of a nothing burger game. Like, wasn't horrible. Certainly wasn't good. The touchdown pass was cool. That was a good throw. But, I mean, that's kind of the story of the season where it's like pretty below average performance with 1 or 2 or 3 really good throws.
Some of those third downs, but I look at Derek for the game. I think he had maybe 12 or 13 incompletions. 8 of those are on third down. We've got to get better. That's got to be an emphasis for us. We've got to get continued drives and keep. One of our big things was keeping their offense on the sideline. We did that in the first half. We didn't do that as well in the second half.
Obviously, you guys did hit the big play at MVS. Was it something their defense was doing to take away deep shots, and you guys were content to be patient and put together?
Yeah, I think early on they were kind of playing some soft shell, and I think we had a lot of underneath, things that were open, and we took advantage of it. And then as the game went on, we had a couple of shot plays in the game plan that we were going to take. Just at the opportune time. And so, obviously that's all down distance related and things like that. So, but again, MVS 3 games in a row, good for him. Another huge play and a heck of a catch by Dante Pettis, on the 2-point conversion to get us tied back up.
Yeah, it was a hell of a catch.
Again, like I said, we did a lot of great things. It's disappointing because when you play one of these games out that you feel like, man, we could have won. And as we were going down the field at that last drive, in my mind, we were going to win the football game. And so it's a good news that we were in it right till the end. The bad news is we couldn't execute, couldn't finish.
Darren, how would you describe the mood in the locker room right now? Obviously, it's been a really good couple of weeks leading up to this. How would you describe it?
Listen, like any game that you lose, the guys are pissed off because they know that there was one there in our grasp that we didn't get. And unfortunately, we've had a few of those this year that, we get down into this fourth quarter and these one-score games. And I think now overall we're 1-4 in one-score games. And if you're going to make the postseason in this league and be successful and win your division, all those things, the bottom line is you got to win one-score games. So that's just the bottom line. And so, I think the mood in the locker room is guys are still confident in what we're doing, but again, are disappointed that we lost, and they should be.
Darren, you didn't look satisfied with the DPI call. I mean, did you get an explanation on?
Yeah, if he's talking about the one on Nakua, I didn't think it was pass interference, but yeah.
Alante.
I didn't get an explanation, and I thought I got to go back and watch the film, but there was some talk about that maybe he stepped out of bounds as well, so which makes him at that point ineligible to touch the ball first. So I got to go back and look at it, but yeah, that's all. I didn't get a very good explanation on any of that. No.
Darren, when you lose a player like Taysom on that last drive, how does that impact the flow of the offense, play calling?
Yeah, well, listen, I thought at that point, obviously, Taysom goes down. A lot of the guys are disappointed.
It's also the most typical thing ever, where he goes down immediately. We're in a 4th and 2 with the game on the line, where it's like, man, this is exactly where you would want Taysom Hill.
He's obviously a very, very well-respected and well-liked guy in our locker room. So, but at that point, it also can be a little bit of a rallying deal where guys want to go and finish the game because of that. So, again, we had our opportunities. In all 3 phases, we made errors today that could have changed the game, and that's what we're searching for. We're searching and grasping for that one more play in each phase to take us over the hump, because that's where we were today. We needed one more play really. From every phase to get ourselves the victory today. So that just didn't happen, and that's where we got to get better. We'll move forward and try to improve that this week, and hopefully go up to New York and get it fixed.
The timeout before that 3rd and 10 that ended up being 3rd and 5 with the penalty.
Yeah, we had 10 guys on the field.
Yeah, Pete Werner ran off. I don't know why, but he ran off, so we only had 10 men. So that's why that timeout happened.
Was that because Tyron should have?
No, we just had 10 guys on the field. We can't have 10 guys on the field. We had to call timeout because I obviously, if I was aware we had 10 guys on the field, and if we did get a first down there, that's not going to play with 10 when so the bottom line is we can't have 10 guys on the field, and so that's why we took the timeout.
True.
We got to do a better job with substitutions. We burned an offensive timeout the second half as well for a substitution. We can't do that. We got to be better. We got to fix that. That's us. That's on me, and I'll take full responsibility for that. We got to get that cleaned up.
I will say, the video's about to end, but I will say that I think this is a better press conference than what Dennis's usually are. Dennis's are usually, well, we got to do, just really vague, very cliche, doesn't really mean anything. I think Rizzi kind of was right about a lot of this. And you got to remember too, these are done 5 minutes after the game is over. It is game finishes, go to the locker room, through the locker room to this. So I think his assessment of the issue is pretty spot on. Does that change wins and losses? No. We still lose the Rams game, so we don't get any extra points for Rizzi being right in his assessment. But I do think overall, I think it was a good press conference as far as what he's saying and what they have to get fixed. And I agree. And the third, but even the 4th and 2, the 4th and 2, okay, you're 4th and 2 in the red zone. With the way our roster is, you almost would rather just have a pitch to Alvin, get Penning moving, get Fuaga moving, or whatever your best pitch play. You'd almost just rather that. It's almost a style of football you have where you're almost like a college team, like a service academy or something, where your best 2-yard, 3-yard play is probably some kind of pitch play or some kind of run. It's not throwing it to Dante Pettis or trying to find Kevin Austin, asking Kevin Austin to get some separation. That's probably not it. Unfortunately, we just don't have the roster for that. So we're very much a old school style team in that sense, where our goal is to get you for 3-4 yards of play and hope we can convert 3rd and manageable. And we saw in this game we did not, and that's what happened. So, all right, let me know in the comments below what you thought about Rizzi's presser, what you thought about the game, and anything else you want to put down there. I'll be replying per usual. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.